I'm Natasha Chilingarian.
I'm Michael Ogden. This is Shared Accounts with CU Times. Special episode this week. We are talking about the 4th annual Credit Union Times Luminaries Awards down in Orlando, Florida, where we all just returned home. We're going to be talking highlights, the finalists, the winners, even the jazz band, and more. Hey, everybody, welcome to Shared Accounts with CU Times. Okay, everybody. So we're all back in our respective corners of the country now that the Credit Union Times Luminaries Awards is over. So this was our 4th year and our 3rd year in Orlando at the Disney Yacht Club and Resort. And I wanted the three of us to get together and do a bit of a debrief to kind of sort out and talk about the show, how the show went, how the cocktails were, I guess, who wore what, all that kind of stuff. Because I really had a great time with you all. But first of all, Natasha and Zach, just kind of the big broad question. Overall, how did you think the show went?
Oh, I would say it went great. I mean, thinking back, it's a blur. It was it was
Sure.
crazy busy, when you're hosting and you're presenting, at least for me, I'm so focused in on making sure I don't get anything wrong and that
Yeah.
I'm ready. And, I had a long way to go traveling from the West Coast. So it was like
Mhm.
a whole ordeal, but I was really happy. We started with the content sessions, the little
Yep.
breakout sessions during the day.
Yep.
And if our listeners don't know, that was a new thing that started last year. So it's
Mhm.
our second year of that. I thought that went great. Talk about that a bit more later if you like. Yeah, really engaging and fun conversations with people. And yeah, the show, it seemed great. I don't know. I wasn't in the audience. I was on the stage, but
Well,
I felt I didn't hear anything negative. So
that's true. So let me. That's a good segue to producer Zach and Zach. We're going to talk about your spot in the show
Yeah,
because you're a newbie this year for all of this.
completely
So,
new.
yeah,
so Zach, you weren't technically up on stage with us, but you had a role. We'll talk about that in a second. But from your perspective, Zach, out in the audience, what'd you think?
Well, first of all, I wasn't not on stage. I was explicitly told I was not allowed on stage.
That is true. Yes.
right. Yes, we had a.
I thought it went phenomenal. The whole time I was down there, every time I heard Natasha especially talk about how nervous she was, it was amazing because if you all had any nerves, it did not show.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought you all did great.
Thank
But no,
you.
and the crowd was just, it really was a great crowd. They were very happy to be there, but were also content to play along with anything we threw in
Mhm.
Right.
that made it, gave it the tone that you all set.
Okay.
I think everyone enjoyed themselves.
Well, and thanks for those words, Zach. And honestly, everybody in the audience, we have not talked about this. We are just getting back home and situated.
Mhm.
We haven't had a chance to discuss this, so we're all sharing this live. But I'll say from my perspective, I mean, I echo that. And to your point, Natasha, it is hard for me to go, well, that was a great show, because I am legit on stage going, okay, the next thing's this.
Right.
The
You're
next
not
thing's
actually
this.
watching it.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
trying to be in the moment, but it's really difficult, because we have all sorts of things planned, around
Right.
the show and during the show and different surprises, and things like that. And in my head, I am thinking about the next thing, like, okay, is that going to be ready?
Exactly.
Or,
Yeah.
are they going to make that cue?
I'm making sure I don't trip. I was
Mhm.
wearing these heels and the
Sure.
long dress. That was, there's all these little things you have to think about. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to like focus on, the winners and what they were saying and everything. It was like, all right, what's next? What's next? Just to
Well,
make sure it goes
yeah.
off without a hitch.
And so I was trying to make a point. I need to do a much better job of just being in the moment a little bit more,
Me too. Yeah.
because I was, when people were speaking, and we can talk about this in a bit, but I was trying to make a genuine connection to those coming up on stage to speak. I would shake their hand, they would give me a
Yeah.
hug,
Yeah. That's always fun.
and stuff like that. So I enjoyed those moments, and it's those moments of personal kind of contact that I'm like, oh, that was sweet. That was nice.
I know. And
But
I'll say the way it was positioned, I guess I didn't hug anyone or shake anyone's hand, and I've done that the last few years because
Yeah.
they were all coming in on one side. But yeah, that's sweet. You got
And
all the love this year, I guess.
I
But you
apparently did.
know.
But okay, so great. That's the overall thing because and we're going to talk about some specifics about the actual show and what we put together and how we did it. But a new addition to this year, like I was saying, and this is kind of the second thing I want to talk about. The new addition was producer Zach. So we made some jokes about, Zach being able to come down to Orlando. I thought was funny. But because Zach, you have been absorbed into this industry through your position as our producer.
Mhm.
So, that's why we try to refer to you honestly in public as producer Zach. So people will go, oh, yeah, producer Zach. I know that, but we were able to get you down to Orlando this year to help with the show. Can you kind of a quick overview explain what the hell you were doing there first?
Yeah, I know we joked about selling cookies and whatnot to get me down there, but
Candy bars. Yeah.
I am truly grateful to have been invited down. So I do appreciate that.
You can thank our boss, Nicole Morford. For
Yeah,
that.
I have, and I will.
Okay.
But thank you, Nicole, if you
Thanks,
are listening.
Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole. Made it happen.
Yeah, I guess my role was getting you all a slight breather and crowd work.
You were our audience correspondent.
Yeah, created some movie trivia questions. All three, it was, a famous song from a movie, name the movie, and then a follow-up question and something absurd. And we had some, really wonderful prizes to give out as well as a thank you to our
Yeah.
participants.
So, but my real question though to you though, because you were out there working, you were meeting people. That this is why I want to talk to you, Zach,
Yeah,
because you've never done this. And
never.
how did it feel for you being out in the credit union crowd like that? For the first time.
I mean, I was nervous more because of the public facing asset. The crowd itself, because I got to talk to people beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
was not nervous about the crowd itself at all. I was just nervous that I was going to ruin things.
Oh gosh.
Because, honestly, I don't think there was a person I met that wasn't, wow, that was a nice, it was all really pleasant to nice interactions. So,
Good.
Okay.
yeah.
I guess, yeah, was there anything about the credit union people in this industry that was unique or different from maybe other, because I don't really know, have you gone to other conferences like over the years? I know it's funny because you're kind of just pulled in and now you're like part of the credit union industry, even though you haven't worked in the
Yeah, I
industry
feel
in the
like
past. But through this podcast,
yeah.
Zach is now part of the credit union industry just kind of by accident.
Yeah, everything I had done before this was all around training. So this was
Yeah.
the first really like professional
Okay.
group, but I will say shocked at least the representative sent, shocked at how young it was.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I can see that. And I will say in the first couple of Luminaries show, the first one we ever did was in DC. And I will say from that to this show, you're right. I think it was a bit of a younger crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun
And
because
that's good.
yeah,
That's great.
Natasha, I
Yeah.
agree. We have kind of kidnapped / adopted, forced adopted Zach into the industry,
Right? Yeah. He didn't
but
have a choice.
right. But Zach is so honking nice and part of our family, and we wanted, to introduce you
It's great. Yeah.
to the larger
Yeah.
world.
Yeah,
That's
I will say
wonderful.
one thing also
Yeah.
with the crowd. It was always nice when one of the nominees or winners had come in a big group
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
the amount of group support from people that came together was when it was a big crowd, it was really cool how much they were cheering each other on.
I totally agree.
Yeah. I
I
love that.
completely agree. Okay. Well, Zach, again, we loved having you there. We love you dearly as a person and a friend. And, we're looking forward to what we get to do with you next.
Yeah, so hopefully it wasn't just us saying it was a success because I'd like to do more like this.
Well, okay, I'll say
Yeah.
this. I have heard from a handful of CEOs in the last few days since we've been home who have emailed and said, "Hey, that was my first time in Luminaries. The words were like, you guys were really fun, stuff like that." So that was nice. But yeah, I'll let you all know what other feedback I hear because we're a
Yeah.
little, I don't know what the word is. We're too much in it to know if it went well or not, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need
Uh,
an outsider
right.
perspective. But
So
yeah. Okay.
our new president was there,
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
I got to sit at the table with him.
Congratulations. I only met him briefly, and then I was pulled in other directions.
I went out to the bar with him
Oh,
after,
well,
not one-on-one, but with a group. Like there
yeah,
were a few of us went, yeah. So that was my
that's fun.
my meeting. So
Um,
yeah, that was no,
well,
he's a very nice guy. Yeah.
great. And I look forward to talking to him, see what he thought about the whole show. But okay, third thing, we have 5 things total. Third thing, I want to let everybody know. Well, let's talk about the theme of the show. So let me set this up.
Yeah.
The idea I had for this a handful of months ago was to do this award show like you just came into a movie theater. So the
Mhm.
idea was you come in, there was a red carpet that everybody walked in on, and we took fun photos and all of that. But then once dinner was over, it was like you had sat down in the movie theater, and then you were forced to watch dumb commercials and movie
Yes.
trailers, and trivia before the actual show starts. And that was our cold open video.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and
That
wha
was yes. Okay.
well, yeah, let me
But
just set this up a tad further. I had asked our events team, I was like, "Hey, to kind of push this theme," they did some wonderful movie themed decorations for the tables, the centerpieces, which
yes.
I saw so many people walk out of there with. They were like
Oh,
tiny
people took
little
them?
oh, yeah, tiny little
Oh,
Oscar
really?
statues and stars that lit up. I mean, I saw so many people just like, grabbed them, like, and threw them in a wheelbarrow. Anyway, but
Oh, wow.
I asked our events team if we could have a legit popcorn machine, to hand out
Yeah.
popcorn, and they did it. I was so thrilled when that thing rolled in,
Amazing.
and
It was
so
just everyone nailed it with
it
this
was it
movie
was it
theme.
was great, it was
Yeah.
great. I loved it. But I wanna walk through this cold open video briefly with the 2 of you.
Okay.
So again, like I said, this was like you just sat down in the movies, you're waiting for the actual show to start, the show being the award show in this aspect. So we had, again, parody commercials up on slides. I did one commercial, a parody commercial of the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney thing.
Mhm. That was a good
And
one.
I enjoy doing that. And it was a play off the genes, and my middle name is Gene, and I have recessive genes. So that was kind of the whole joke. But then the main part of this, we did have trivia in there. I threw in this really ridiculous trivia about McDonald's. But
That was funny. Yeah.
the main thing is that you, Natasha, Zach, myself, we created 3 parody movie trailers. And I want to walk
Yep.
through those really quick.
Sure did.
The first one, Natasha, you wrote
I
the
did.
script for
Yes.
this. Tell us about it.
Okay, so the first one, so if we were thinking, all right, what kind of movies would people maybe relate to? And
Yeah,
then we could
generationally.
also
Yeah.
generationally and then create a parody so it's related to the credit union world. So,
Yeah.
and I'll say that the way I wrap this around my brain, any listeners that used to read our print publication years and years ago, we used to do an editorial cartoon.
Yeah.
So think of it like that. It's like an editorial cartoon about the credit union industry, kind of either poking fun or just
Mhm.
making a statement or about something happening, as part of a piece of entertainment. So anyway, so as far as the movies, so we picked 3 movies. The one I picked was Mean Girls, which
Uh-huh.
that's my generation, kind of the older millennial. It came out in '04. Yeah, really popular movie.
Yeah.
We recreated it so it was instead of Mean Girls, it was Mean Bankers.
Very funny.
So
Mhm.
Zach and Michael were the bankers, and they were dressed as girls, as like 2 of the mean girls from the movie
Yep.
in a lunchroom. And then I was representing the credit union, and I was dressed as one of the other, as the Regina George character when
Yeah,
she's in her
who played
sweatpants. Rachel
Rachel
McAdams. Yeah.
McAdams?
So there's a part she's like, I don't know, I guess she's like wearing sweatpants and looks all sloppy, and she's been like supposedly gaining weight or whatever, even though
Yeah,
she
yeah.
still looks like a stick figure.
Yeah.
And they're like being mean to her and saying, you can't sit with us at the lunch table. So we basically recreated that, but with some themes around the fact that credit unions keep buying banks and the
Mhm.
bankers are mad about that. And then, the credit union saying, well, no, I actually care about my members. You just care about your shareholders,
Yeah.
and kind of going back and forth about that. I loved it, and I had so much fun with it.
Mhm.
And the thing about this I think it turned out super impressive how we were able to pull it off. And I think a lot of that is credit to Michael's editing, but we had to, since we're all in different parts of the country, we couldn't sit down, couldn't like gather and film this. We filmed separate clips in our separate houses.
Yeah.
And then Michael spliced it all together to look like an actual trailer, and it really did. So it was so much fun. And we just used crazy props and wigs and costumes and pulled up, all these things that just random stuff.
It was really fun.
It was really fun.
Zach, how did you feel about seeing that?
So it's when I first started jumping on recordings with you all, the biggest problem I had was listening to my own voice editing. And multiply that times 100 waiting for that video to start, where I was going to have to be sitting 2 seats away from our brand new CEO watching myself perform in drag.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Poorly.
That's yeah.
You did a hell of a job as a mean girl. It was fun.
I thought, I can't speak for myself, but the whole production, like it worked really well. It was genuinely funny.
I think so as well. So that is how we started it off. The second trailer, we had 3 trailers total. The second one was a mini script I wrote as a parody of Basic Instinct from, what is that, 1993, I think?
Around there, yeah.
But instead of it being called Basic Instinct, we called it Basic Interest Rates. Dumb
Very
title.
Clever.
But we recreated the famous interrogation scene from Basic Instinct, where Natasha and I were the detectives questioning the Sharon Stone character played by Zach, also in a second blonde wig.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And
perfect.
Natasha and I were both wearing black fake mustaches and that kind of stuff. So I got to say really quick, and then I want to talk about Zach's performance here. But I enjoyed writing this because I was like trying to think of financial terms, but in the sexiest way usable, and like using financial terms as innuendo, and that made me laugh quite a bit.
Oh my gosh.
So Natasha, you look fantastic in a mustache.
And my dad, I happened to be at my parents' house during all the filming, so I was able to go into my dad's closet, and it was perfect for this, and then also for the next one we'll talk about.
So, but the star of the show in this one was you, Zach. How did you feel about it? And then we'll talk about one specific part.
I felt fine about it. I had no issue with doing it. It was, could I pull it off to be funny?
You did.
So I felt, I was so happy to be a part of it, honestly.
Okay.
Well, how did you come up with the look and, the pieces of clothing that you picked and the wig and
so I was just gonna wear a wig and a dress, and my wife, who is a performer, she sings in the opera and does, musical theater, was like, no, you asked to involve me, so we're doing this. So she brought me an entire wardrobe. At one point she tried to get makeup on me, and I said, it's not that important. Please don't do that.
I'm glad there was no makeup.
Yeah, I think you would have all, said, hey, bring this back a little bit. You're getting a little too into character.
Right. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, it was so dumb, but a lot of fun.
Good. That's what I was going for. Dumb, but fun. But so we did purposefully recreate that leg scene portion, the famous thing. But the thing is, obviously Zach fully clothed.
Yes.
And wearing a wig. And instead of blurring out that area, I blurred out your face purely because that was dumb. And I thought visually it made me laugh more.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion of what can we blur out that will be the funniest and not offensive.
Exactly.
Right. And so I did your face.
I think it worked so well. It really did.
Good. Yeah. Okay, moving on. The last parody we did that I wrote was Jaws. But in this case, Jaws was celebrating the 50th anniversary this year when it came out. But instead of calling it Jaws, it was called NCUA. And the whole thing, it was a pretty brief movie trailer, but it was about how there was only one member on the NCUA board. Harper and Otska are gone. The boat, instead of being called Orca, was called Otska. I thought was kind of funny. And this was a reenactment of the famous scene where Brody is throwing chum into the water while Quint is sitting inside the boat, just kind of talking. And, the shark comes up and Brody's, all of that. Natasha, you were Quint / Kyle Hauptman.
Right.
How
Yep.
did you feel about it?
This one was fun. Yeah, I think it's a because this situation in this story with NCUA has been so big,
Yeah.
so it was just a fun one to do. I think like an important story to tell. But yeah, I really, I kind of went all out, and it worked out well being at my parents' house again because I ended up filming it in their garage, which is like just all cluttered, and there's just like tools and
Yeah.
crap everywhere, and that kind of did the feel of the inside of the boat.
It did.
And my dad
Nailed
had
it.
all this
Yeah.
old yeah, my dad had all this old fishing stuff, so I got the fishing rod out. My dad also drinks, like, this really cheap beer, so I even had, like, one of those beer cans, so it's kinda like what the character had.
Yeah.
No, I had fun doing that one.
Good.
So, yeah, I filmed that outside in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just one thing about that, and I guess we can get to this after we're done describing it, but, like, the reaction from the audience, that was, like, so cool to see as I was standing there, because I think they like, when you saw the thing came up and it was, like, the Jaws poster, but it said NCUA, everyone was like, "Oh, no," like, everyone
Oh,
got it,
really?
and
Okay.
yeah, I could hear a lot of reaction.
So I was back by the audio visual
Oh,
people
okay.
on the board. So I could not hear the audience that well and get their reaction.
Oh, okay. No, I heard yeah, because I was by some tables,
Okay.
and yeah, I did hear a bunch of reactions, so I thought so that was fun. That was really fun to just see
That's
from a
cool.
group that, like, got it, that, like, gets the
Yeah,
topic and
yeah, yeah.
everything. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the crowd and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
terrified of how bad my performance was going to be, so I was
Uh-huh.
able to just kind of sit back and watch. And no, the crowd reaction in the crowd was very, very positive.
Good,
But it
good.
was oh,
Yeah,
kind of like that.
yeah.
Great. I love that. Because the whole joke, only reason I wrote this is because I thought of this line first before I wrote the script was, a parody of the famous line, when Jaws comes back up out of the water, when Birdie's throwing out chum, and he says to Quint, "You're going to need a bigger boat." But I had
Right.
thought of, "You're going to need a bigger board."
Yes.
Was the whole joke,
Perfect.
and I wrote
Yeah.
the thing around that one line. So I'm glad it worked. Okay, so then yeah, we did a quick parody to end the whole cold open video of the Nicole Kidman AMC. We come to this place for inspiration. That
Right.
thing that plays at AMC theaters. I got to tell you the one thing. This is the only reaction I got because I was at the audio visual kind of booth, and the guy running the board, the audio as that was running, Natasha, he laughed so loud, and I was standing right by him, and he said, "Hey, dude, I get this joke. I go to AMC theaters all the time." And
Oh, good.
I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, okay, cool." So anyway, that was a fun piece of feedback. So that's how we started the show, everybody. It was like 12 minutes long. I enjoyed doing it. It was a ton of work to get it all done. I had been working on that since September, I guess.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
It was a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because we finished editing late October, so about a week before the show. Okay, anyway, that was fun, and that was our setup to the whole show. So, Natasha, let's really quickly talk
Okay.
about our fourth thing, which is
Okay.
the actual show and the Luminaries winners. So we had to set it up. We had a record number of 25 categories this year, and the winners were obviously selected by our judging panel. We thank them so much, and we literally had hundreds of entries this year. It was
Oh, yeah.
in math terms, we actually had a 99% increase in
It's
entries.
crazy.
It was
Yeah.
nuts. So everything that you and I had to go through, all of that, culminated in this show. So Natasha, I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about some of the winners.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'll say kind of the big takeaway this year was that ViStar was a big winner in like
Yep.
3 categories.
Yeah. They were a front runner. Absolutely. And it was funny because you worked in a really funny ViStar joke at the end of the show there as well. I don't know if you want to
Oh,
bring that up.
oh my God, what'd they say? Oh, yeah, because I said it was something like, yeah, ViStar is a big winner tonight, and unlike last year, they're not under investigation by the CFPB or something like that.
Right.
And the
Because
crowd
that
really reacted to that one.
They did?
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. You got ooh.
Oh, I
Great.
remember that now. Yeah.
Okay, no, I
Well,
didn't
and they
hear
were
that.
there last year, and I think they may have won something last year, or they were at least a finalist last year. But
Yeah.
and that was right when they were in the middle of that. But no, it was cool to see, them there, and they're, hey, despite
Yeah.
that, you know what, you're doing really well, and they really knocked it out of the park with their entries this year for sure.
They really did. And I want to focus on one thing really quick, or at least one category that we introduced this year that was truly a success as far as the number of entries and the quality. We added excellence in marketing this year.
Right, yeah.
We split credit unions into 3 asset sizes and all of that, but holy smokes, was the number of entries we had and what our credit unions are out there doing in the marketing world was really great. Now, I do wanna point out the winners for that, and there were a contingent of at least this one, the winner for the 4 billion and higher credit union, Delta Community Credit Union out of Atlanta. They had
Yeah.
some people there. It was lovely seeing them. And then 1 to 4 billion was Chartway Credit Union. And then a billion and below was Century Federal Credit Union. And I just love that we added that this year because I think, like I
I
pointed out,
well,
marketers are
yeah.
not shy. You know, they love,
Well, I think what I thought of on that is award shows entering into award, categories.
yeah,
That's part of what marketers do.
yep,
So that's probably why we saw so many entries because that's what they do. That's
hmm,
their specialty, and they probably were. The marketers are good at promoting themselves and
yeah,
writing glowing things about what they've done. And I'm not trying. I don't mean it that way. I don't mean like, oh, they're showing off or whatever. But that's like their area of expertise would be like doing an entry like this.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's, I think, but again, many great things happening in
yeah,
marketing in the
yeah.
credit union world. So yeah,
Some other ones I want to point out. I'm scrolling through all the winners here this year. Oh, I know.
yeah, I
I want to
think.
call out a
Okay,
couple of the leadership awards if I could.
okay,
And then I want to kind of talk about rising stars for a second. But we had Christina O'Brien from Robbins Federal Credit Union win CEO
yeah,
of the year
yep,
for 4 billion and higher. 1 to 4 billion was Lori Butts with Capital Credit Union. And then Judy DeLuca with New Orleans Firemen's Federal Credit Union of a
yep,
billion and below credit union. So Judy wasn't there, but she had a representative that showed up.
yes, I remember that.
I
Yes.
don't know this gentleman's name. I cannot remember it, but he's the one that hugged me really hard on stage after he gave
Aw,
her speech.
yeah.
And I thought 2 things. Oh my God, he's squishing me. And
Oh wow.
he had
Oh
a
boy.
he had a scratchy beard. Those are my 2
Okay,
thoughts.
okay, okay.
Anyway, he was super sweet, and I talked to him after the
Yeah.
show too.
Well, and can I just say, because
Yeah,
going back to how many entries we had, I'll just
yeah,
say it was amazing though, like to just read all of the stories of all these people. And there were so many amazing accomplishments.
yeah,
And there were definitely, I'll say there were some times, there were a couple categories, I believe it was in the CEOs or some of the leadership where there were, we had to pick like 10 finalists. And there were some where it was really hard. It was
yeah.
like, and I know there were a couple of people like specifically where I still am like, I wish I could have been in there, but it was like you had to make a decision at the end.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would just say they were everyone. It was just so impressive, and then it was really cool to then pass them on to the judges, who then helped with picking like the final,
Yep,
and seeing who they picked. And a lot of times it was like, oh yeah, I would have picked that too. And other times it was like, oh, I probably would have gone with someone else. But yeah, it was just really cool to go through that process.
yeah.
And Judy DeLuca, that was one. I think it was the first one I read in that category, and I was just like, wow,
Oh,
that
that's
is
fun.
like the like example of what like a smaller credit union CEO should be doing to make an impact. And
Oh,
I was
that's
just so
fantastic.
so yeah, I just that one particular member stood out so much
Yeah,
to me was Judy. So
that's really
maybe
cool.
that's why he hugged you so hard. I
Yeah,
don't know.
probably. But I want to point out Edition Financial won at least one award in the tech
Yeah.
category. Edition Financial, we truly love these people. They are so
Yeah.
damn nice. We've had them on the pod before.
Yeah.
So it was nice
Yeah.
seeing
And
the Kevins. We had 2 or
they're
3
located
Kevins.
located locally. So
Yeah.
they've been a part of the Luminaries for a couple years
Yeah,
now,
I think so. Yeah.
having like panel speakers join in. So
Mhm.
their CIO was actually one of our speakers, was our keynote speaker
Yep.
on cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been a kind of an integral part of the show
Yeah.
for a
So
couple years now.
Bravo
Yeah.
Edition. We
Yeah.
did close out the show. Chuck Fagan won for kind of QSO leadership for Valera. So congratulations, Chuck.
Yeah.
But right before that award, we had one last Rising Star Award. And I wanted to point out the one speech that really, really stood out to me was from
Yeah.
the Rising Star winner from First Light Federal Credit Union, Dania Angeles.
I believe.
Heartfelt,
Yeah.
teary speech of genuine. She was just
Oh.
so nice. And we hugged.
Well, was there anything specific or a specific line she said that
Well,
stood out to you?
she was just it was like the credit union was a family, and
Oh.
she equated it to her family who immigrated from Mexico, I believe is where they came from, and, she's first
Yeah.
generation, I think,
Yeah.
and she even said a couple of lines in Spanish, and there
Mhm.
were some friends of hers there from the credit union who also spoke Spanish, and they were kinda yelling back at her in Spanish, like, cheering her on. It was really funny.
Oh,
They were
that's
kinda right
awesome.
toward the front, and that was fun.
Yeah.
So, that was sweet.
Oh, so sweet. Yeah, obviously not every winner could be there, so
No, that happens.
again, and I think if they had, that it would have made the show go on till, like, 1 AM,
Oh,
so it's
Jesus.
probably
It was already
worked better.
long. Yeah.
Right, right.
Okay, so I wanna wrap this up and talk
Okay.
about the 5th thing, which is kind of a simple question, but I wanted to see what our takes were here, and the question is for both of you. In the context, we're just finishing the award show. We still smell like Orlando, potentially.
Oh god, what does that
Anyway,
smell
yeah,
like?
well, I don't know. I don't wanna say anything, it'll get me in trouble. But
Don't get sued by the mouse.
yeah. Oh, my question is this: why do you think people should attend the Credit Union Times Luminaries Awards show? Who wants to answer?
I guess I'll start and then we can
Yeah,
close out with Zach.
sure.
Well, are you talking the whole day or just the awards show portion?
I guess I don't know what it's going to become,
Yeah.
but in the experience from your perspective, Natasha, this was your 3rd show to do.
Yeah.
Zach, this was your 1st. This was my
Yep.
4th. And I just want to ask, how you see it from your contextual life, why people should go to this.
Well, I see it as like a kind of a tight-knit, I don't know the word exclusive, but it's like kind of, because it's not like open to the whole industry, but it does open up to anyone who, becomes involved, wants to,
Yeah.
enter the nomination and everything. It's like it's kind of like you're part of a big family like dinner party is kind of how I've seen it.
Okay.
It's not like those big conferences where maybe you feel a little bit more lonely because there's so many people there, and
Oh,
you
that's a
might feel a
really
little
good point.
lost,
Yeah.
or it's just all over the place. It's very focused. It's very you feel. I think that you're made to feel special when you're part of it.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of perks maybe that come
Yeah.
along with it. And then just the connections that you'll make, and it's like a family. Yeah, it's like a group that
Okay.
you coming together, and you're celebrating. You're also sharing knowledge, and if you're able to join the content session in the afternoon, and then go into the have that kind of lead you into the evening. You kind of start off. It's like start off with kind of the more serious, halfway serious tone.
Yep.
Get some great knowledge, share some information, hear from some really, knowledgeable people,
Mhm.
and hear about the new innovations that they're doing.
Yeah.
And then you can go into the evening and just relax and have a great time, and just really celebrate and support each other too,
Mhm.
supporting those, the winners, and of course everyone who entered and
Yeah.
was a finalist. But yeah, I
Okay.
guess it's just a big old love fest.
Sure. So yours is more like Olive Garden. When you're here, your family?
When you're here, your family,
Okay.
sure, okay.
Great.
But we're more sophisticated than that. That's not a real
A
Italian
little bit.
restaurant.
Speaking of the breakout sessions really quick, this was my 2nd ask of the events team. I did
Yeah.
ask if toward the end of our breakout sessions, if I could just have some champagne be brought into the room, and they
Yeah.
totally did it. All of a
They
sudden,
delivered.
this wait staff just came in with flutes of champagne and handed them out to everybody, and people applauded. They were like, "What? Oh, that's cool." So
I
anyway,
loved that. It was a nice touch.
it was
Yeah, it
fun.
kinda
Okay, Zach, as a
Zach.
first timer, having seen it now, why do you think people should maybe attend these shows next year and on?
It feels a little obvious, but the level of exposure to get to actually meet the people, you kind of hinted at it, but the freedom and happiness to share knowledge was people were talking the entire time. And it does add a much more human element. There were people that, we may have emailed for the show, and just putting a face to that name.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's hard to overstate how important that is to actually have that human connection.
I agree, Zach. Well put.
Also, just real quick,
Mhm.
with it being, insular is not the right word, but close knit compared to some of these events and shows, the total opposite of sterile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, whatever that word is, yes. The antonym of yeah.
Yeah, it was a crowd that was ready to enjoy themselves.
Dirty, I think, is the opposite of sterile.
Oh boy.
I'm
Okay, well, I
kidding.
don't know about that.
So, well, that kind of leads me to my answer, which is I see the Luminary Show as this. It is an event that we get to put on, that we are privileged to put on, that if you are there, if you are there, the rest of the world is not going to see or experience what we do, what we say, what we produce. This is as close as they're going to get because we're never sharing that video out publicly. Again, I agree with you, Natasha. It's not necessarily exclusive, but if you come to this thing, we're going to be a wide open, honest, to Zach's word, not sterile,
Yeah,
people and environment,
exactly.
because we love this industry and the chance to see these people, to hug them, to get to know them, to share the love with the audience. It's a club that if you can go there, I highly recommend it because not everybody's going to experience this. And it is a one of
Thank
a
you.
kind event that we put on with a very unique spin on who we are personally and who we are professionally as CU Times leaders and
Yeah.
people who care about the industry. So that's my pitch. If you want to see something
Yeah.
crazy, come to these shows because they are a blast. Okay.
I think you said that well. Yeah. It's the best way, I feel like, yeah, you're not having to watch yourself so closely because it's like, oh no, this is such a
Right.
stuffy square group. It's like the opposite of that. It's like you can kind of let your hair down, you can be yourself,
Yep.
but still be your best self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyway, and I
Okay.
like the idea of the club is also makes a lot of sense to me. It's like if you get an invitation, to the club, hey, you're special and you should take advantage of that because it's an experience that you won't get anywhere else. And I can't speak for like all credit union events. I mean, I'm sure there's there's tons of events throughout the year, but I guess just in comparison to say like the big conferences, this is definitely a more intimate and special and
Right.
a unique experience that you won't get at those.
It's love, it's gritty, it's open, and it is funny as hell. So I recommend it to everybody. Okay, we should wrap this
Okay.
up, but I got to tell you, Zach, I loved having you down there. I was able to meet your
So
family,
fun.
your wife, your adorable daughter, who we ran around the pirate ship area a little bit there. So it was so great having you there. Natasha, as always, just all the love to you and co-hosting with me and pulling this thing off. So bravo
Oh,
to the
thank
three of
you. I'll
us.
say it's an absolute privilege to be able to be in this position and be able to do this
Yeah,
every year.
it's
It really
crazy.
is.
It is. I agree.
Sometimes I'm like, why am I
What?
doing this? But
What? Yeah.
how did I get here?
All right.
It's been great.
It was. Thank you both.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both as well. And to all of our listeners, thank you for downloading today's show. Please subscribe to shared accounts with CU Times and all of the normal podcast places. And please share the episodes with everyone you know, coworkers, friends, relatives you like, relatives you don't like. You know the drill.
Absolutely. Feel free to rate us 5 stars only. As always, thank you to our producer, Zach Nyheisel. Thanks, Zach. Now, we do have a couple of episodes left for the end of the year. We're kind of pulling back because we're hitting the holiday season, and we'll have just 2 or 3 more episodes. So it's not going to be weekly from here on out through the end of the year, but we'll pick things back up, kind of recalibrate in January because we want to catch our breath and let people enjoy the holidays. So join us again for our next episode of Shared Accounts with CU Times. Until then, though, thanks for listening.